Helicopters have revolutionized amphibious assault operation concepts. The Iwo Jima-class was the first vessel designed and commissioned for this new era. 7 ships of this class successfully served the USA in many crucial operations between 1961 and 2002. Today we're investigating the Iwo Jima-class, a true amphibious assault ship legend. The Iwo Jima-class landing platform helicopters, shortly LPH, were the first amphibious assault ships designed and built as dedicated helicopter carriers. However, it was not easy for the USA to decide to use such a type of ship. The military planners had already realized helicopters offer great opportunities since the Second World War. However, they didn't know how to use them effectively. Just after the Second World War, the USA was not expecting a new major conventional war. Washington believed it could resolve all disputes with the advantage of being the sole owner of the atomic bomb. Nevertheless, the US Marine Corps conducted significant helicopter operation trials in the late 1940s. On May 1, 1948, 5 HO-3S-1 4-seat helicopters transported 66 Marines and their necessary equipment from the aircraft carrier USS Palau to land. They had to perform 35 flights for the job. This exercise, called Operation Packard II, proved the usefulness of helicopters in amphibious assault missions. The US Marine Corps defined this type of operation as vertical envelopment instead of air mobility or air assault. However, even this success was not enough for the Pentagon to be interested in this new concept. But 2 years later, the US generals had to face the truth with the Korean War. The atomic bomb could not prevent the outbreak of a full-scale conventional war. Besides, it was impossible to use this apocalyptic weapon under all conditions. On September 13, 1951, the US Marine Corps used helicopters to supply a battalion with 8,550 kilograms of supplies and evacuate 74 wounded troops. Throughout the war, the helicopters had proven over and over again how effective they were. Thus, in 1955, the USA converted the former escort carrier USS Thetis Bay to a helicopter carrier. However, it was soon seen that such modified vessels could not fully answer the operational requirements. So, in 1958, Washington approved the construction of the Iwo Jima-class LPHs, dedicatedly designed for the mission. The first ship of the class, USS Iwo Jima, was laid down on April 2, 1959, launched on September 17, 1960, and commissioned on August 26, 1961. The vessel's hull was similar to a commercial ship with a large width and a higher freeboard to increase the internal volume and reduce costs. The fin stabilizer at the primary design was abandoned to cut costs. However, it caused significant problems. The Iwo Jima class had low seakeeping features, causing many crew members to suffer from seasickness even in slightly rough sea conditions. Besides, the propulsion system produced strong vibrations when cruising speeds over 21 knots. Some compartments became almost inhabitable because of this. The ship's initial design had a twin-shaft propulsion system. However, the number of shafts was reduced to 1 to save money again. The LPH had a 7-meter-long hangar. The flight deck was 183.7 meters long and 31.7 meters wide. It was suitable for simultaneously operating up to 7 helicopters. Over the years, different helicopter types were deployed on the Iwo Jima class. In their last years, these vessels carried an air group with 4 CH-53s, 10 CH-46, 2 UH-1s, and 6 AH-1s in a standard mission. Sometimes, the Iwo Jima class also carried up to 4 AV-8 Harriers due to operational requirements in temporary deployments. The elevators of the USS Iwo Jima, USS Okinawa, USS New Orleans, and USS Incheon had a capacity of 23.32 tons. On the other hand, the elevators of the other 3 ships had 19.6 tons capacity. Elevators were foldable for passage of the Panama Canal. Also, the Iwo Jima class had small ammunition elevators with a capacity of 7 tons. Although the LPH was designed purely for vertical envelopment operations, it also carried 2 landing craft personnel larges. These vessels had the operating room, X-ray room, hospital ward, isolation ward, laboratory, pharmacy, dental room, and medical storeroom. Their medical facilities had a 155-bed capacity. The complement of the Iwo Jima class was 902 persons. It could carry 1,562 Marines. The ship had a length of nearly 184 meters, a beam of 32 meters, and a draught of 10 meters. Its standard and fully loaded displacements were 11,250 and about 18,800 tons respectively. Two 600 psi Babcock-Wilcox boilers and one De Laval General Electric Westinghouse turbine produced 23,000 horsepower. The maximum speed of the Iwo Jima class was 23 knots. The ship's range was 10,000 nautical miles, in other words, 18,520 kilometers at the economical speed of 20 knots. The Iwo Jima class could carry 20 CH-46 Sea Knight or 11 CH-53 Stallion helicopters. Initially, each vessel had 4 76mm twin-barreled guns. Later, this number was reduced to 2. From the early 1970s, the Iwo Jima-class ships were equipped with 2 octuple RAM-7 Sea Sparrow air defense missile launchers. In the 1980s, the Mark 15 Phalanx close-in weapon systems were also installed. The LPH had the AN-SPS-65 Air Search, AN-SPS-40E Air Surface Search, AN-SPS-67 V1 Surface Search, AN-SPS-64 V9 Navigation, SPN-35A and SPN-43B carrier-controlled approach, and Mark 115 fire control radars. As soon as the Iwo Jima-class ships were commissioned, they served in the major U.S. operations. USS Iwo Jima and USS Okinawa of this class were deployed in the Caribbean during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis for the possible invasion of the island. They also played an active role in the Vietnam War. In 1965, USS Iwo Jima participated in Operation Starlight in Vietnam. Deployed on the ship, H-34 helicopters of the VMM-163 Squadron conducted more than 20 search and destroy raids until late 1966. Also, the evacuation and surgical teams of USS Iwo Jima saved the lives of many wounded US troops. In 1967, USS Okinawa was deployed as a mobile base off the coast of Vietnam and performed many crucial vertical envelopment operations. During the war, the busiest ship of this class was USS Tripoli, which served on 3 tours and participated in 8 amphibious operations during the first tour alone. USS Okinawa was there in the final phase. She participated in Operation Eagle Pool, the evacuation of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, as well as Operation Frequent Wind, the evacuation of Saigon, Vietnam, and saved many lives. While her sisters fought in Vietnam, USS Guam was engaged in another crucial task. The Pentagon approved the trials of sea control ship concept of Admiral Elmo Zumwalt, operating small escort aircraft carriers to provide air support for convoys. Thus, in a possible war, the US Navy could have used its supercarriers against the Soviet Navy instead of convoy escort duty. USS Guam was tasked as a test platform for the concept and conducted extensive trials with AV-8A Harrier fighters and Sea King anti-submarine warfare helicopters in 1972. However, the US Navy decided that the concept was not feasible in its force structure and USS Guam returned to her old job. In 1982, USS Tripoli served as a test platform for the XV-15 experimental tilt-rotor aircraft. The trial was an essential step for the creation of V-22 Osprey. In the early 1980s, USS Guam and USS Iwo Jima operated off the Lebanese coast by turns. Their Marines disembarked to take position around Beirut International Airport. However, this mission tragically ended on October 23, 1983, after an attack on the Marines' barracks. This attack claimed the lives of 241 US servicemen and wounded another 60. USS Guam was the flagship during Operation Urgent Fury, the invasion of Grenada. In 1984, the tanker war started a new phase of the Iran-Iraq War. It endangered oil shipments to the Western world through the Persian Gulf. So, the USA initiated Operation Earnsville in 1987 to protect Kuwait-owned tankers from Iranian attacks. As a part of this operation, USS Guadalcanal led minesweeping operations in the Persian Gulf in 1987. On September 21, 1987, The frigate USS Jarrett's helicopters reported that the Iranian ship Iran Azure was laying mines throughout the shipping lines. The US Navy SEALs disembarked from the helicopters of USS Guadalcanal and attacked, boarded, and captured the ship. 5 days later, they scuttled Iran Azure in international waters. While the Iwo Jima-class ships carried out critical missions during the 1991 Gulf War, they also faced some misfortunes. For example, as a part of the build-up for Operation Desert Shield, the US Navy deployed USS Iwo Jima in the Persian Gulf in October 1990. The LPH developed a leak in the steam valve which supplied steam to an auxiliary electrical generator. For repair, she docked in Bahrain. Shortly after, the ship left the port to rejoin the fleet. However, the repair had been finished prematurely without necessary inspections. The valve began to leak again and caused a lethal accident. During the war, USS Tripoli served as the flagship for mine countermeasures operations in the northern Persian Gulf. On February 18, 1991, she hit an Iraqi naval mine on her starboard bow. The explosion ripped about 5 by 6 meters hole in the hull. The crew managed to stabilize the ship after 20 hours of work. Yet, USS Tripoli could not resume her duty. She docked in Bahrain. After 30 days of repairs, the ship returned to the Persian Gulf to continue minesweeping operations. While the Gulf War continued, USS Guam, stationed in the region, was urgently sent to Somalia after the rebels entered Mogadishu. Along with the USS Trenton, she evacuated 282 people, including ambassadors of the USA, Germany, Kuwait, Nigeria, Oman, Qatar, Sudan, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, the UK, and the USSR. On December 3, 1992, USS Tripoli conducted the first landing operation of Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, and her Marines secured the airport and seaports in Mogadishu. The Iwo Jima-class also played essential roles in the US space rocket programs. These ships recovered many astronauts who landed in the sea before the space shuttles. For example, in 1970, USS Iwo Jima was the flagship of Task Force 130, which waited for the astronauts of the famous Apollo 13 spaceship. According to an article published by the USNI News in 2012, the Reagan administration offered the USS Iwo Jima to the British government to compensate for the possible loss of HMS Hermes or HMS Invincible during the 1982 Falklands War. On December 17, 1992, USS Okinawa became the first decommissioned ship of the class. The last Iwo Jima-class LPH, USS Incheon, was decommissioned on June 20, 2002. USS Guam, USS Okinawa, USS Incheon, USS Guadalcanal, and USS New Orleans were sunk as target ships in 2001, 2002, 2004, 2005, and 2010, respectively. For more than 40 years, these LPHs played crucial roles in protecting US overseas interests. They were reliable floating bases of the US Marine Corps. The Iwo Jima class deserved to become an unforgettable legend. Thanks for watching our video, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all of your likes, comments, and shares.